So I'm like, this only makes him look bigger than he is. Because they're making this nigga look like he's a terrorist. Like, yo, if he comes to town, the murder rate is going crazy.
Y'all not gonna believe what just went down. NBA Youngboy finally broke his silence about getting banned from Louisiana. And trust me, he's furious. I just got my hands on exclusive details about what really happened at those New Orleans shows. Why the feds pulled up thinking his ops were rolling in with heavy artillery, and the real reason Youngboy said, forget it, and walked through Bourbon Street solo. No security, no entourage. But here's where it gets wild. Youngboy knew this was coming. He saw the setup from a mile away. So instead of letting them play him, he flipped the script and went out with a bang. That walk down Bourbon Street, that wasn't random. That was a statement. His way of saying, you can't control me. Because this ain't just about one rapper getting banned. Nah, this is deeper. This is about how the system treats young black men who don't bow down or let anyone pull their strings. Now let's rewind. How did all this even start? Back in October 2024, Youngboy announced he was finally coming back home to Louisiana after 7 long years. This wasn't just another stop on the tour. This was his moment. His 26th birthday, his homecoming, his message to the world that he made it, no matter what they threw at him. But the second those shows got announced, Louisiana's whole establishment went into panic mode. And guess who was right in the middle of it? Police Superintendent and Kirkpatrick, the same person who's been working for years to keep urban artists out of New Orleans. The same one who reportedly helped block Lil Wayne from performing at the Super Bowl in his own city. According to sources close to Youngboy's camp, they knew from day one the city didn't want this to happen. New Orleans was already broke. They couldn't even cover payroll. But somehow they found the money to bring out 400 extra officers for 2 rap shows. Yeah, that math don't make sense. That's when Youngboy's people realized this wasn't about safety. This was about power. It was about sending a message. Successful young black men from the trenches aren't welcome in their own backyard. And then came the federal fear tactics. Here's the part nobody's talking about. The feds showed up claiming they had intel that Youngboy's enemies were coming down armed to the teeth, ready for war. They said crews from Chicago were on their way with heavy artillery.
Wild car collection out and riding it around town like the mafia. From off-road Lambo.
Sources say the feds fed those lies to New Orleans PD just to justify that massive security push. They even told police that Kodak Black's camp was planning to cause trouble, trying to stir chaos that never even existed. They claimed there'd be shootouts, bloodbaths, the whole nine. But none of that was real, gang. There was never a single credible threat. Not from Chicago, not from Kodak's people, not from anybody. The feds were just running psychological games, trying to scare local police into shutting everything down or making the show so expensive that Youngboy couldn't even afford to perform. But Youngboy's team wasn't backing down. They called the bluff, straight up. They dropped over $400,000 per show on extra security just to prove a point. Like, y'all wanna play games? Cool, we can play too. And when the lights went up, both shows went smooth. No chaos, no violence, just pure energy. Over 17,000 fans each night. And the worst that happened was a few people sneaking in without tickets and a couple of small fights. Normal concert stuff. But the cops and the media, they twisted it, tried to paint it like it was some kind of war zone. They even pushed a fake story saying shots were fired, when really, it was just crew members breaking down equipment after the set. They exaggerated every tiny thing to make it sound dangerous, when in reality, Youngboy was backstage chilling, performing, showing love, staying out of trouble, doing what he always does.
We was just saying it's the most press we ever seen Lil.
But the system already made up its mind. They were looking for any excuse to justify banning him from future shows, even if they had to make up their own version of what happened. Birthday cake, the birthday walk. That's when Youngboy finally hit his breaking point. After the second show, on his 26th birthday, word got back to him that Superintendent and Kirkpatrick was already talking about banning him again. Before anything even happened,
it had the
they'd
whole
already
internet
decided
talking.
he was the problem.
Chopper didn't stop at the track.
Youngboy said, forget it.
Really wild.
And that's when he made his move. He walked straight down Bourbon Street. No security, no entourage, just him. The biggest rapper in Louisiana, walking through the heart of New Orleans like a regular man. But don't get it twisted, that walk wasn't random. It was
his
a
wild
statement.
car collection out
According to
and
people
riding
close
it
to his
around
camp,
town like
he
the
knew
mafia.
exactly what he was
From
doing.
off-road Lambo.
He wanted to prove a point that all those security threats were pure nonsense. And that's exactly how it played out. Thousands of fans surrounded him, showing nothing but love. No chaos, no fights, no drama.
The feds
Just
showed
people
up to
celebrating
those New
him,
Orleans shows
singing his
because they
songs,
claimed to
trying to
have
take
intelligence
pictures
that
with their
Youngboy's
hometown hero.
ops were planning
Police had to
attend
step
with
in,
serious
not because he was in
firepower.
danger,
We talking
but
about
because the
reports
crowd
that
got so
people
massive it stopped traffic. Money bag following the money. But here's where it really started to sting for Louisiana officials. Youngboy's concerts brought in major money, and the city didn't get their piece of the pie. The Smoothie King Center made millions. Hotels were fully booked, restaurants jammed, streets flooded with tourists. The city was booming for 2 straight nights. And yet, the state didn't see the real bag, because they were too busy trying to control him instead of capitalizing on the economic wave he created. According to people familiar with the situation, those 2 nights in New Orleans pulled in massive numbers, over $1.25 billion in total economic activity. Hotels packed, restaurants slammed, Ubers nonstop. But even with all that money flowing, the city barely broke even. Why? Because they burned through the bag on unnecessary security. They paid overtime to 400 officers who didn't even need to be there, just to prove they could control Youngboy. Meanwhile, Youngboy himself covered most of the bill. Imagine that. The man literally paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to his own city just for the right to perform in his home state, and they still found something to complain about. But the truth is, this was never about safety. It was about control. Youngboy represents everything they can't box in. A young black man from Louisiana who made it out, survived every obstacle they threw his way, and rose higher than most of the politicians now trying to silence him. Then came the breaking news. The day after that iconic Bourbon Street walk, his manager Alex Jr. dropped a post saying Superintendent and Kirkpatrick had officially banned Youngboy from performing in Louisiana for as long as she's in office. The message read, "Shout out to Twinkie Twin Sky for telling us we're never allowed to perform in Louisiana again after these 2 shows." But here's the twist they don't want you to know. A city police chief doesn't have the power to ban someone from performing across an entire state. That's not even how the law works.
He actually
What really went down is this. Kirkpatrick launched a quiet campaign to pressure promoters and venues behind the scenes, warning them that booking Youngboy would come with outrageous security costs and non-stop police interference. That's the oldest play in the book. They can't officially ban you. They make it so expensive that no one dares to book you. It's systematic oppression, hidden behind a public safety label. Sources close to the situation say Kirkpatrick had this move planned long before the concerts even started. She later used Youngboy's birthday walk as the excuse, calling it reckless and dangerous.
His wild car collection out and
His
riding it
success
around
shines a
town
light
like
on
the
how the
mafia.
system's been holding
From
back
off-road
other young
Lambo.
people just like him. And here's where it gets even more serious. Youngboy isn't taking this lying down. My sources say he's already been in talks with federal civil rights attorneys, building a case to hit both the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana with discrimination lawsuits. His legal team's argument, the so-called ban is rooted in racial bias and violates his constitutional rights, his freedom of expression, and his right to equal protection under the law. They've gathered evidence showing that white artists can sing, or even worse, criminal backgrounds have performed in Louisiana without a single special security requirement. On top of that, Youngboy's camp plans to file formal complaints with the Department of Justice, accusing federal agents of spreading false intel to justify the heavy police presence. If they can prove the feds fabricated those threats, that's a full-blown civil rights violation, and it could cost millions. And here's the part that's got everybody talking. What Youngboy's planning next. According to inside sources, he's now working on a documentary that digs deep into systematic oppression in Louisiana, exposing how public safety has been used as a cover to silence successful black voices. See, this situation goes way beyond one rapper being banned. This is about how the system moves when a young black man refuses to be controlled.
He had no right to even speak on NBA Youngboy's
He's been beating
name.
cases and staying out of trouble. So now they're trying a new strategy, economic warfare. Think about it. Youngboy is one of the biggest artists on the planet, employing hundreds, generating millions, and inspiring a generation. His success should be something the state celebrates, especially when
His wild
Louisiana's
car
economy
collection
is
out
struggling.
and riding it
But
around
instead of
town like
embracing
the
him,
mafia.
they're pushing him
From
out because
off-road
they can't
Lambo
control
for
his
months
message.
on end,
And
Bro
if
can
that
finally
sounds
get back to the
familiar, it
mountains
should.
and enjoy
The
life
same
in Utah.
superintendent who's
Among
coming for
white
Youngboy is the same one who reportedly kept Lil Wayne from performing at the Super Bowl in his own city. This ain't new. It's a pattern, a system built to keep powerful black artists from inspiring the next wave of talent from the hood. What makes this even darker is the federal involvement. The FBI showing showing up at his concerts with fake intel about threats. That's not security, that's harassment. Sources say federal agents have been shadowing Youngboy's tour city to city, feeding police the same false stories about potential violence, just to get them scared enough to cancel. That's not law enforcement, that's sabotage. And the way they used Kodak Black's name as part of the lie, that's manipulation. Taking real artist rivalries and weaponizing
Youngboy's
them to
never been
justify
one to stay
overreach.
quiet when
But
someone
when no
calls him
violence
out.
ever happened, no shootouts, no chaos, nothing. It exposed their whole game. Here's the wildest part. By banning Youngboy, Louisiana didn't just silence an artist, they hurt themselves. Those 2 nights in New Orleans brought millions into the local economy. Hotels booked, restaurants full, jobs created. But instead of admitting their mistake, officials doubled down. They'd rather lose that money than admit they were wrong about him. That's the same backwards thinking that's kept Louisiana at the bottom of economic rankings for years. Meanwhile, other states, Texas, Georgia, Florida, are ready to cash in. Youngboy's already planning to take his shows there. Louisiana's loss is everybody else's gain. But this goes deeper than money. This is about voice. It's about who gets to tell their story. Youngboy stands for every kid from the trenches who made it out. And when they ban him from performing at home, they're sending a clear message. No matter how far you go, if you don't play by their rules, they'll find a way to cut you down. That's not just a music issue.
To
That's a human
understand how
rights
we got
issue.
here, we need to go back to
Balance scale the
October
legal battle.
2024
Civil rights
when
on the
Youngboy
line.
announced he was finally
Youngboy's
coming
legal
back to
team
Louisiana
isn't
to
playing.
accept-
They're building a civil rights case centered on constitutional violations, saying the so-called ban breaks his First Amendment right to free expression and his 14th Amendment right to equal protection. They've got proof showing how his security demands were way harsher than what white artists with similar or worse records ever faced. That's exactly what civil rights law was designed to stop, and now it's about to be tested. And if they can prove that federal agents deliberately spread false information to local police, that's a major civil rights breach, one that could cost millions in damages and forced policy changes across the board. Youngboy's not backing down. He's got the money, the lawyers, and most importantly, the platform to call this system out. Louisiana thought they could silence him, but all they've done is make his voice louder. This fight could change everything. If he wins, it'll set a precedent that stops cities and states from hiding discrimination behind the words public safety. The irony? By trying to shut him up, they've given him the biggest spotlight of his career, and he's about to use it to expose every part of their corruption. Youngboy's upcoming documentary on systematic oppression in Louisiana is about to shake things up. It's not just another music project, it's a message to millions. He's showing the world exactly how the system treats successful black men who refuse to bow down or be controlled. That birthday walk through Bourbon Street wasn't just a celebration, it was a statement. It was Youngboy saying, "This is my city. I belong here just like anybody else." And the fact that officials tried to twist that pure moment of love into a reason to ban him, that says everything about where their priorities really are. But this fight's far from over. Youngboy isn't backing off, not an inch. He's got the money, the power, and the focus to push this all the way to the Supreme Court if that's
even
what
though
it
nobody
takes.
had to pick a side.
And when he wins,
fans
because
just
he's built for this,
couldn't.
it's going to
Youngboy's
change
the
the
real
game for
deal.
every black
What
artist
started
who's
as
ever been
fan
boxed
debates
out or
quickly turned
profiled
into
by the
real
system.
tension between the two.
So what do y'all think?
Career for years.
Can Youngboy
on
take
that
on
live,
Louisiana and win
Chop
his civil
straight
rights
up
case?
admitted that
Drop your thoughts
NBA
below.
Youngboy,
I'm
the
reading
Chopper
every
himself,
comment.
had to jump on
And don't forget to
Instagram
hit that
Live to
subscribe
speak
button,
on it. But
because this
instead of
story,
calming things,
it's only
that
getting
move
started.
made it crystal
The system
clear.
tried to
Whether he
break
wanted it
Youngboy.
or not,
Instead,
Chopper had a
he
fix.
created a soldier, stronger, louder, and more determined than ever to fight for justice.